like no, never been seen like jet black snow. When I'm on stage with the mic in my hand, got the vibe with the gang and the rest not know. Living in peace, use breath control, and if I'm in deep, let's tread that slow. Don't come with a next angle, got more sides in a rectangle. All that past, just let that go. Turn off the lights, don't end that show. Look wrong, dance floor, show gets live-o. I see pyros, I see smoke. Graveyard shift, that's set in stone. Stepping stones, I'm stepping slow. Come to the venue, bless then go. My DJs come to let them know.
This video is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Welcome back, YouTube. This is Eric at Studio 182 Digital Pro, bringing to you live streaming Austin Oral Parabolic 33, as well as Mike Horner from the Mike Horner Muscle Project. Who's not here yet? We're missing somebody. Dave Perez from The Heavy Reset. Well, he got held up in traffic a little bit late at work, but he's going to be here shortly. Of course, we're going to shoot the shit. We're happy to see everybody here, especially Ultra Joe. He's been here since like 2 in the afternoon. He's saying, let's go. Good to see you, man. Glad that you're stopping by. Guys, of course, this is going to be basically like every week, an on-topic discussion Q&A, and then later on when we get into the lightning round, you can go ahead and even drop those questions now. We'll flag those for you if you can't make it. The chapters are up tomorrow morning. You can just take a look and see exactly where your question will be at. So we'll just say hi to Mike, hi to Austin, and wait for Dave to get here. We also have a bunch of questions in advance, a lot of them that we didn't get to from last week as well. But I want to say, hey, what up, Austin? How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. I want to give a quick shout out because I didn't get to make a story yet, but shout out to Erick and Studio 182 for, anyone out there who's looking to have help with things like that. I know I have with social media and posting and everything like that. Erick's been great. So shout out, Erick.
Man. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. It's been my pleasure. And, we're doing this because we need to stay in the community as well as we're all, working for ourselves. We're in business. We need to surround ourselves with the people that need the services that we provide. And we love doing this shit. So why not? Right. Mike, what's up, brother? How you been, man? I hear you're calling on preps real soon after this health phase. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. I start prep on the 28th, getting ready for Masters Nationals. Just finished up a 12-week health phase, got my labs back this week, and got a clear bill of health. Everything was in range and ready to go, including the kidney markers that were way outside of range. So clean bill of health. Got to do it every once in a while. I mean, it sucks to be on a health phase in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it also feels good. So, and then a peace of mind of having clean labs.
Yeah, I bet. Now, how long did it take you to get the clean labs after you came off?
A good 12 weeks. Like a lot of times I'm one of these guys, I think that has a pretty good tolerance to things. Like I can get my red blood cell count up there. My hematocrit and creatinine, and I come off of a cycle, and I'm back to within normal range on everything in 6 to 8 weeks. Like it's pretty quick, and like even after my first contest prep last year for the Emerald Cup, when I came off, like I got labs like 2 weeks after, and I couldn't believe it. There's so much stuff was already back in range. I think I still had elevated ALT and just slightly out of range, and elevated red blood cell count, of course. But other than that, everything was good. So, and I've never actually had problems with cystatin C. I've never done. And it's probably cumulative in nature. We did 2 back-to-back contest preps, and then I did the progress phase, which had pretty high doses of Boldonone in it, which is nephrotoxic anyway, and really taxed my kidneys. I'd never had problems with elevated cystatin C numbers before now, and
So
there
that
was
was
a
after
lot of.
Boldonone.
I'm sorry.
You're saying that was after Boldonone,
After Boldonone, yeah.
and had you used it prior?
I had used it in small doses a long time ago.
Okay.
And I got up to 900 milligrams on this progress phase, and touched it for a minute. I'm like Apollo or whoever it was that flew too close to the sun.
Yeah.
Icarus, and and I came back down at about 650. Seems to be like the maximum tolerable dose, but it's still taxing on your kidneys. And I really couldn't get my blood pressure under control, even taking Telmisartan. And then I had a lot of other symptoms of poor kidney function, including some edema in my legs and stuff that stuff that I've just never had before. And everything was telling me that, hey, you're damaging your kidneys, and that's why I pulled the plug after 16 weeks. I think maybe it was actually 17 weeks when I did my last shot. I pulled the plug on that progress phase and decided to go into a health phase before I did any irreversible damage, right? Because that's kind of your kidneys. Like, you can go cruise along, take it to that edge, and then get healthy again, and take it to the edge again, and then there's that one time you just go a little bit too far, and then you have renal failure and you're getting a kidney transplant. We've all heard of bodybuilders getting kidney transplants, so. I wasn't going to let that happen to me.
I'm curious too, because obviously people run Boldonone and don't have issues. So I want to just find out what's going on there. Like, that's an extremely interesting thing to me. And I want to prove you right, because I'm using that. So, that would be important to me. So I'm curious if maybe at some point we could go over what the change was, what was the baseline leading into it, what was the time on Boldonone before, what was the change, and did you have crushed estradiol by any chance on it?
Absolutely, yeah. By week 6, my estradiol symptoms were low estradiol symptoms were just out of control.
I think that's
and by week 8, like, the brain fog started kicking in. It was, my cognitive performance was terrible after week 8. It was also when I had the most strength and muscle gains.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I don't want to mean too deprived, but I guess my hypothesis is that the estradiol deprivation is what's contributing there, because I don't know if it would be possible just from that experiment anyways to parse the difference in low estradiol from the equipoise, basically, because it's some people, a lot of people are finding out now, that in this community, people are checking their labs. They're not just kind of, I guess this is what people do. They do 500 Boldonone, 500 test. And that's just what people do. And they don't think about it. Most people, that's going to crush their estradiol. And the other thing is, there's a it's a good time to bring it up now, but for kidney function, everyone knows that cystatin C is creatinine for bodybuilders, because as a bodybuilder, you're going to get a whack creatinine because of the increased production and higher turnover rate rather than just a filtration issue. So we use cystatin C for that. The other thing is ADMA/SDMA, and one of those is actually a endothelial health marker, and the other one is a kidney marker. And I have only kind of gone into it cursory level. It wasn't even me. It's not an original discovery by me or anything like that. But if you see the EGFR calculation from cystatin C, just like you do from creatinine, ADMA, SDMA is another one. It's another expensive test, though. You could triangulate that between those and without having to get a 24-hour. Oh, one other
Yeah,
thing.
I mean the 24-hour clearance test is not a big deal either, though. It's not. It's a
Right.
very inexpensive test, and you know, it's you just pee in a jug for a day. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I still have my jugs sitting here. I haven't used it.
Here's the funny part: is that the Quest where I get my labs done at is in the back of a Safeway. So I'm literally walking through the grocery store with 2 jugs of piss. This can't be. This can't be healthy. Hopefully,
The thing is, you got to keep it in the fridge, though. Like, so you got to have the house to yourself for a day, or just say tough, or get a cooler.
Cooler.
People do.
Yeah,
it.
I was told that just keeping it at room temperature was fine. It only had to be
really?
refrigerated if it was going to hang out for a minute or something. But
Okay.
yeah, I turned mine in right away. It wasn't a.
It's
No
Dave.
refrigeration
Hey, how's it
necessary. And when I got the results of that test back, you know, it was a little outside of the reference range. But then when I talked to my PA about where it was, he was like, "Well, you know, your kidneys aren't failing, so if you just stop doing what you're doing, you should be fine."
Did you say you have a blood pressure control issue?
I did on that cycle, yeah.
Well, you're
don't know.
taking Telmisartan, right?
Or Telmisartan?
Telmisartan. I'm
Telmisartan.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I even
Wow.
doubled up to 80 milligrams for a while there, and it was still, I was just getting these crazy random spikes.
I'll say this again because I think you missed it last week. It was with Dave. So doxazocin is a category of blood pressure med I want to start talking about in this space, because the strategy of diuresis, so like the first line treatment in standard medical practice is hydrochlorothiazide, but we know better as bodybuilders, we're not going to use that as our default. The other one is blood volume reduction with the sartan, the artan class. And those work to reduce blood volume is basically what it is. And the reason why is there was a big famous study, kind of like the Women's Health Initiative for like women's HRT and like blah, blah, blah for testosterone. This big study compared alpha blockers to angiotensin receptor blockers or angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. And those are the ones that reduce blood volume. So they compared blood volume reducers. So you've got less pressure, less volume against the pipes. And then there's the alpha blocker class, which reduces the squeezing of the pipes. Like smooth veins in your body are smooth muscle. They constrict based on how much pressure they want to think they have. But when you're old, that doesn't work. Your veins are stiff, your arteries are stiff, so they can't relax. So you've got no choice but to reduce the volume of the blood, so they press harder. But guys on androgens, on stimulants, with a high adrenergic state, they have a higher level of squeeze in the vasculature. So it's clamp force. And doxazocin, it's a super old drug. It's also used for benign prostate enlargement for difficulty urinating. And yeah, I haven't had controlled blood pressure ever until I started using it, actually.
Were you actually prescribed that by a provider, or did you take that from like a telemed site or something like that? Because this is something I would imagine you'd have to educate your provider on.
I did, yeah. It's from a telemed because I'm having a fallout with my provider right now.
Yeah.
He got mad I added into Bivolol. And he said I self-prescribed testosterone, but it's in my chart that I have high blood pressure going back to 2012. So
right. So he was obviously blaming the test for your high blood
just,
pressure, right?
Yeah. Everybody has shame demons that they battle, you know, but I don't attribute any blame to him for my high blood pressure that year.
Right.
Yeah,
my PA, the PA who is my primary care provider, doesn't bother arguing with me anymore. I tell him, look, I need Telmisartan, and then he just writes the prescription because he knows he already knows that I've done way more research on it than him when it comes to the context in which I want to use it. So he's like, and he doesn't read any of the research I tell him to read. I'm like, look, you know, investigate this, or this, right? Because he's always arguing with me about my blood markers, and I'm like, no, look, if you go read this, it'll show you this, and he's like, yeah, I'll email it to me, and then I'll email it to him. And then next time I see him, I go, did you read that study? He's like, no. I mean,
Yeah.
he's honest about it. But
Hey,
he's not
hey,
interested in-
before we get to Dave, I want to ask you one more thing, Mike, because this provider thing's killing me. I love it. Like, does your provider, your PA, know what you're doing? Like your bodybuilding, he knows that you're taking androgens and all of this, and you're monitoring yourself and whatnot. And he's like, hey, you know, it's your body, your choice. So it's hard to find docs like that. So I was just curious to what his reaction is to that.
Well, I mean, you got to be a pretty ignorant dumbass to not be like that, if you ask me, right? It's like if you've got someone, and we know this from coaching, how hard is it to get someone to be completely forthcoming about everything they're doing or not doing? And you can imagine how frustrating that is for a doctor. You know, just something as simple as asking somebody about their sleep. They're gonna be, oh, my sleep's perfect, I'm great, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And then every time you dive into it a little bit more, you start asking some questions about when they get up and how, and you realize their sleep is not all that great. Like, imagine how the level at which a doctor, a primary care provider, if he gives a shit, has to go to get that kind of information from people. So if you've got a patient who's sitting down telling you like, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm taking, like, it makes diagnosing, if you're interested in diagnosing, that much easier, you know?
Yeah. Well, you have a pretty understanding provider then, because until my most recent one, who was actually totally on board, he was like, no problem whatsoever. What do you need? Every provider I had before that, even if I wanted labs, they would be like, no, absolutely not. You know, I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, it just was crazy. So
Yeah. They don't even want you to look. That's the thing.
Right.
You know?
And they won't even tell you what the range is. Let's say you're at 340 to be like, oh, well, it's obviously not your hormones.
Yeah.
You're well within range.
Yeah. Well, anymore, it's just easier to order your own labs than it is to fight with your doctor.
That's
in Rhode Island.
Now it is.
Sucks here.
Yeah. What's up with Rhode Island? Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's Rhode Island and New York and Mass, I think, all the states surrounding me. So I've got to find a workaround.
But
Rhythm
you obviously
Health.
did that. You clearly did that, man.
Yeah.
What's up, Dave?
How you doing?
What's up, buddy? Glad you made it. Long day at work,
thanks for holding it down. Yeah, man. have to keep that real job, unfortunately.
Portland traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, everybody here, this is Dave Perez. For those of you that don't know him, he was actually one of the, I think the second or third last stream I did when I was over at H4M, and it was a great show. His transformation story was something else. He lost over 100 pounds in a little over a year. He's now looking to get into a amateur bodybuilding show this year. We're going to take a look at some of his most recent prep pics. We're going to look at his labs after he's been running Oxandrolone and HGH, as you know, just to and get into some discussions here, because obviously he's looking for guidance on his upcoming prep for his show, and we're going to take this into a Q&A discussion as we talk to Dave here. So, Dave, where would you like to, excuse me, get started, buddy? We'd like to first talk about where you left off. Last time I had talked to you, it was some time ago, is when we did the H4M stream. Then I saw that you also had a podcast with Mike as well on the Mike Horner Project, going over your transformation story. So, guys, what I will do, for those of you that don't know Dave Perez's full transformation story, because it's pretty in-depth and it's pretty amazing. Of course, we will show a few of those pictures tonight, but we're not going to get into his transformation story this evening. But I will include the links for both Mike Horner's stream that he did with Dave Perez, as well as the link that's on H4M YouTube channel that has his full transformation story. Those will be in the description box, so you can check those out as well as his socials. He has a link tree, I believe. Don't you, Dave, or is it just on AG?
Yeah, I've got a link tree that's linked on my Instagram over there.
All right, cool. Everything's in the box right now. I think I currently only have your IG, but I'll make sure that link tree is in there. So last time we talked, you were you showed me those. We showed the audience all those awesome pictures. Your wife too. I don't know how much we're gonna talk about her tonight. And then you were saying, you were planning on getting into a show later this year. But before we do that, why don't you tell us about what you've been doing fitness-wise since then, as well as what you've been implementing as far as HRT, TRT, or straight up full-blown prep cycles. What's going on, man?
Yeah, so right after, it was about 2 months ago when I was on the Hormones for Me channel with you guys, and I was still kicking around the idea of doing the summer shredding transformation division that they do with the summer shredding bodybuilding competition down there in Houston. And so I actually ended up pulling the trigger on that. I signed up, I registered. It's a thing, man. I'm going for sure now. So, or I'm losing my money, my registration entry. And I ended up I started working with a coach. He's a local IFBB pro that works out at the gym that I go to here in Portland. And we've been working together about 8 weeks now. It was basically the beginning of February. So the first check-in pictures I sent you that we can look at here were from the 29th of January, right when I signed up, started working with him. So since then, it's been pretty mild. I kind of run a high TRT dose, but it's 40 milligrams daily. But as we'll see on my blood work, it doesn't probably get me as high as most people would think it would. And then I added in, what was that?
I said, that's right.
Yeah. We'll take a look at that stuff. And then I've added in the last about month or so, I've added in a little bit of GH, titrated that up. And then for 7 weeks, I had never done any other compounds like Anavar. So I threw a little bit of small dose of Anavar for about 7.5 weeks, just to kind of see what it did, to compare my baseline labs to the ones we just got back. Literally today, we came close to the wire. I wasn't sure if they were going to make it in. I got my lab draw last Wednesday, and
we were like, well, it doesn't matter if they don't come in. We'll look at some other stuff. I'm going to add these pics to the stage here. Dave, why don't you tell us exactly what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so that's January 29th on the left there. I was about 255 pounds. And then this was the March 21st, just last Saturday. Okay. I'm down to 249, so you can definitely see I'm getting a lot tighter. Peeled off a lot of water weight and stuff. You can see a lot more definition coming in. So
tons. Yeah.
How many weeks out are you from that contest?
About 17 and a half, I think. So it's at the end of July, so I got plenty of time. It was kind of a long prep, so we have a lot of time. So we're definitely very early. We're at the beginning right now.
But before we do that, I want to first also give people here that don't know you, Dave, a little bit of a impression here as to how far you have come. Okay, this is Dave Perez going back some time. This is when you were probably at your biggest, right?
Yeah, that was my heaviest. I was 370 pounds.
And then this is you at the Olympia, which when I was with Ryan there, I actually recorded you. I didn't even know it.
On accident, yep.
Yeah, that was wild. So you got up on the stage with Michael Tren, yeah, of course. And I was recording him too. I mean, I like to bust his balls, but I don't really care.
He was actually a really nice guy, man. Yeah, that's my wife.
Sure he is.
That's my wife, and that's her in the other picture with me too. So
yeah, so she's been on her own journey.
Yeah, she's been working hard alongside me, and she's down about 50 pounds herself, which is great. So
yeah, she looks great, man. Oh. There we go. Look at this. What a difference, man. You guys, and she's young too. She looks great. You're young too, relatively 41. I may not feel young to you right now, but
yeah, young.
Wait till you're 50, then you'll be like, damn, 40 was young. So guys, he's come a long way. That's why it's important. If you haven't seen his transformation story, I urge you guys to check it out when you get a chance. Here we could see definitely shaping up. I mean, it's wild. Like, you feel so much bigger here, right? You're probably filling out your shirts more, and then the more you're peeling down.
Yeah, you can see that taper as my water weight was coming off, and a little bit of the fat and stuff's coming off a little bit slowly there, and you can definitely see that taper starting to come in. It's kind of nice.
There we go.
And my tattoo even grew.
Yeah, wow.
In that 8 week.
Yeah, look at that, right?
Nice tattoo gains.
No, the shoulder. I added a little bit to my shoulder. I got another appointment this Saturday actually to work on the rest of that arm.
Yeah. Oh, we're not getting there yet.
Nope,
all right.
Sneak peek.
So yeah. Anyways, those are fantastic, man. So, what exactly was your cycle, and how long you've been running it?
So, like I said, I'm doing 40 milligrams daily, testy, and I've been doing that since about November. Before that, I was still at 240 milligrams, but I was only injecting 3 times a week at that time. So I went to a daily injection schedule and bumped up, a small amount of 40 milligrams up.
Mm-hmm. And are you off the Oxandrolone now?
Yeah, so I actually took my last 10 milligrams. I was doing 20 milligrams daily, just a real small kind of test. Day. Yeah, well, 10 milligrams twice a day.
Oh, yeah, 10 twice a day.
Just a real small starter dose, because I'd never run it. I just kind of wanted to, experiment with a little, see what it did and how I responded to it, and overall the response was pretty good. And we'll look at my blood work. It really didn't trash it too bad, and And so I took my very last 10 milligrams, that morning of my blood work.
All right, let's get a look at it here. Let's see what we got here. This was drawn on 3/18 of 2026. Oh, it's a little too big. Your RBCs a little bit high, nothing too major.
Yeah, that was probably a little dehydrated. Probably those couple days.
This is a recent uptick in hematopoiesis, so you've got a recent red blood cell increase here. You see this when you've gone on a new androgen or off of one. You can tell whenever your MCHC is like skewed like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like so you've got also the red cell distribution width will be all crazy sometimes too, depending on what phase of the process you catch it in. So that's what's going on there. And red blood cells being high too, not just but like having a high hematocrit with a normalish red blood cell count. That's like just regular high hematocrit. So
You'd call that high? You would call that high, Austin? 51.4?
Well, it'd be high for me, but
well, yeah, it would be high for you. My when I had not to get off topic here, when I had my cervical spinal fusion, the lab ranges actually went up to 55 on those, and I know it used to a long time ago, but I haven't seen that ever actually since I've been getting blood work.
You're gonna have to get on EPO for that. For me especially.
Yeah. So mine was actually 60.
You've gotten it up to 60?
Mine was up to 60 when I went in for my surgery. They almost made me go to oncology. What was it? Hematology oncology, because my RBCs were so high and my hematocrit and hemoglobin was so high. And I had to have a conversation with the surgeon the day before my surgery and explain all this. And then I actually got him to finally ultimately admit that, yeah, I'm getting a phlebotomy while I'll be in surgery, so my markers are all going to come down. And isn't it? I said, Doc, isn't it much better for recovery to have high hematocrit, high hemoglobin, including more oxygen to all of your cells? And he's like, yeah, actually, that's true. So then when I got my post-surgical labs in, everything was in line. I mean, my RBCs were just like a little bit above the middle of the reference range. My HCT was 48. My hemoglobin was down to 16. I mean, it's crazy. And it was at 20 before surgery. So it was wild, man, when how much it kind of came down. Plus, you get super hydrated while you're in the hospital. They give you all that. But anyways, let's keep going. This is Dave's time.
It's all our time, man. Just team effort.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, 51.4 for being on cycle. I mean, you were on Oxandrolone, not super high doses, but it's not too bad. Like you said, you're probably dehydrated. Okay.
It could be. I mean, I don't know if you snore or have been for
that's what I have too. Untreated sleep apnea. That's
no, not much. I actually used to snore really bad when I was 370 pounds and up above 300 pounds. And my wife said that has all but disappeared as I've gotten smaller and smaller, which is nice. So, maybe a little bit minor something going on here and there, but I'm usually in like the 48 range if I'm well hydrated and nothing weird's going on. So 47, 48.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Mine's are like 46, but I saw something Tanya said real time, which was about the MCHC and stuff, and the RBCs too. But iron deficiency and like B12 or B12 or B9 deficiencies or weird things with that can do it also. So it wasn't just the cause that I said about the new recent uptick, but you do see that with that. So just as an aside to go on there, I love to interject, me, guys.
Absolutely. All right, let's pull that up and take a look at some more here while we're going. There we go. Okay, so what do we got here? We're going to go down the line here. We got his lipid. Let's see how his lipids look here. Cholesterol total 89. Whoa. Low, actually, huh? There you go. HDL still low. Wow. Everybody says it just, it does crush your lipids. I guess it did, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was at 46 on the test before that in November.
Yeah.
So I would
hardly call that. Yeah, I guess that's kind of crushed, right?
I do take a low dose statin and ezetimibe combo, 10 milligrams rosuvastatin, 10 milligrams ezetimibe. So I think that really helped keep everything like the LDL and stuff in check.
There we go. Let's take a look at your total test. LCMS, great job. Only 921. Oh, previous was 1056.5. And on March the 18th, it was 921.8.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one because, like I said, I was doing 3 injections a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I was only doing 240 milligrams total. And I came back at that 1056. And then this time I had switched to 40 milligrams daily. So for a total of 280 a week. And it actually came down a little bit. So it was an interesting one to see. It was a little unexpected.
And then your free test here, 37.9. That actually went up. Yeah. Okay. Nice. And then we're just talking about the cystatin C and all that.
Yeah, it definitely crushed my SHBG.
How much down did it go?
We're almost down there, but I went from like 20, almost 22, 21, 22 down to like 6.
Yeah, typical.
Yeah.
You know. And how long are you staying at 20 plus ish?
I had been on that all of my TRT. So I was actually like 17 prior to TRT when I was hypogonadal. And then when I got on TRT, that actually came up to that 21 to 22 range and has kind of stayed there for, I mean, since I've been on TRT the last year and a half. It didn't really matter what my dose was. I started at 120 milligrams and I've titrated all the way up to the 280 I'm at now. And
can you confirm the 280 you're able to stay at 20 like for like more than like 4 months? Because I would expect a downtrend over like up to 6 months or so, and even more potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the 240 for quite a while, and I was on 180 before that. So I don't know. I haven't been on the 280 long enough, especially since I did the Anavar and I bumped up to the 280 at the same in the same time frame. So it was like a double whammy, probably.
Oh, okay, yeah, because obviously tests will do it, but some guys, like, you know, with a good E2 level and like not like anything crazy, like they can stay at like probably 280 and keep a 20 SHBG for like some amount of time. I do usually see it will be like lower than that. Even most like guys on TRT who I see like 160 or something, they'll be at, you know, a 12 or something like that.
Okay. Moving along. All right. So we were just checking out your free test, LCMS, looking good here. You're actually at, you went up a little bit by 2 points since your last one. So hemoglobin barely even budged, man. But only 0.2. A1C anyway. There you go. Hemoglobin A1C. Let's see what we got here.
Are you on thyroid meds?
No, that T4 came up maybe from the GH I added. It's always been right in range.
GH increases the conversion. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been my TSH, T3, and T4 have always been smack dab, usually in the middle of the range. So that was a little interesting that kind of popped up just barely above the range. It looks like right there.
Yeah, right here. Just barely.
The history and the trend go down a little, Eric.
Yep.
It's TSH. A little bit of a bump makes sense because, you know, you're asking more of it. Prolactin is stable. That's good because you just recently started GH2, and I know that's a question that I've gotten, and I honestly don't have an answer for people. It's just like, is there any connection between prolactin and GH? And there is, I think, like physiologically, like, sorry, I don't know it, but this is a good example that we see here of recent GH use and not elevated prolactin, basically. It's a little bit of a decrease, but that's just fluctuation. How long had you been on GH here?
About 4 weeks roughly. So I did 2 IUs the first 2 weeks just to, you know, start out kind of slow, and then I went up to 3 IUs the next week, and then about a week of that, about a week after that, I went up to 4 IUs, and that's what I've been on the last like week and a half or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to get a look at your IGF-1 levels. I remember we had somebody who said they were taking 4 IUs and they were at like 600 IGF-1.
Oh yeah.
And what do you take? You said you were taking 4, and it looks like your current one here.
Yeah, had just gone up to 4. Like
297 from 196 on your previous ones, but that's way back actually.
that was way
Yeah.
back. So that 196 was actually a pre-TRT. So I started
okay.
TRT 9/20 of 2024. So that was one of my baseline labs right before I started TRT.
Are you dieting there too?
On the first one?
On the second one, even.
I'm dieting. Yeah, I've been dieting on both. I mean, that first one I had been dieting from about August until that first one at 196.
So yeah, that will stop your IGF-1 from going up to like, so that 297 would be a lot higher if you were not in a diet.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier talking about the guy with the elevated IGF-1, would you say 497 or something? It like doubled it?
I think so. With me? Oh,
no, you were just talking about somebody else.
Oh, I think there was a guy who was getting 600 off of only 4 IUs or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've gotten in the 600s, but from 8. I don't know.
Right. Is that like, I wonder if is it like a mobility thing? I mean, you know enough about how IGF-1 moves through the body to guess?
So yeah, because I think that hypothesis that when you see people on Tren, their IGF-1 won't budge from GH, and Tren in multiple studies, it's shown to increase IGF-1 receptor mRNA. So the IGF-1 receptors are proliferating. There's more of them. So if there's more places for it to bind onto and get sequestered out of the blood to get used, you know, it makes sense why it would be lower in the level in blood, you know.
Yeah, I just wonder. I mean, it just seems to make sense that there's a connection there. If you have someone who's taking a very low dose and getting a very high IGF-1 response out of it, he's probably not very muscular, right? Like the more muscular development you have, the more IGF-1 receptors you're going to have, and you're likely going to have higher IGF-1 in serum from lower doses of HGH.
Yeah, true. That is a real possibility. And I mean, I'm not the biggest person ever, and definitely not now, but I was pretty big, and my IGF-1s would get pretty high. Like I got up to the 585 mark, but you know, like I said, I've also tracked it not go up at all from GH, like hardly. You know, if I'm in a diet or if I'm on Tren of any dose, it's going to be non-existent raise.
All righty, let's get back to the blood work here. I'm looking at your, well, we can take a look here. I mean, well, actually, there's nothing to look at there. I just want to take a look at your E2 sensitive, which it's actually pretty high. 84.6. Yeah, from 66.
That was another interesting one because, like I said, I was on a lower dose, but a 3 time a week injection frequency, and it was at that 66 back in November. And then I thought it would have stayed the same or maybe dropped a little bit because I went to the daily, but maybe because my SHBG got crushed and there's more free floating around. I don't know.
People say that was me talking, but I didn't mean to interrupt. That was a video I played accidentally. Sorry, I was trying to find something.
Yeah, what'd you think about what Dave said there? Did you hear what he said?
I didn't because I was trying to shut the video off. Sorry.
He was wondering about his E2, why it climbed so much, if it had anything to do with his SHBG getting crushed. Wasn't that what you asked, Dave?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Because I mean, you know, normally you would hear or think that going to a daily injection frequency, I'm going to aromatize less. So
right,
even though my dose bumped up 40 milligrams a week, you would think it would have stayed probably in that 60, 66 range, or maybe even dropped a little. But then I was thinking I crushed my SHBG with that Anavar, so maybe there's more free testosterone floating around that's able to aromatize. So I don't know. That's just a theory.
That too. Yeah, that would be it. And did you say the test dose is the same between the 66 and the 84?
No, 40 milligrams more, but daily injections instead of 3 times a week.
Right.
So
that's
40 milligrams more per week.
40 milligrams more per week.
280 more milligrams a week. So that's significant.
What is that as a percentage? That's 240 divided by 280. 85, 100. minus 85, 15, so 66 times. That's a 9.9% increase. So it's about a 15% dose increase and then a 10% subsequent E2 increase. So actually it's like disproportionately a little bit lower, even if you think about it real quick like that. Some quick math in there.
Progesterone looks dialed in. Didn't really budge. Insulin, let's take a look here. 14.1, no problem. Ferritin, 187, still looking good. Boy, your labs are actually freaking solid. But your sex hormone binding globulin, wow, 6.2, dude. Holy shit. That fucking Oxandrolone really crushed that shit, huh?
Yeah,
that'll do it. Wow. Well, that and the other androgens you popped on top, you know, it's probably the total androgen load, and certainly the orals don't help. But
so I want to ask. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I keep interrupting you guys. No, I was going to ask him how he felt with this.
Yeah.
So when I started that Anavar, I mean, I felt great the first few weeks. You know, I felt strong as a freaking ox. You know, my lifts all went up. And then I feel like around week 3, like after week 3, somewhere week 4, I kind of hit a wall. And I don't know if it was a bunch of CNS fatigue or if it was my SHBG coming down super low. But I mean, I was like super fatigued. And then my lifts started dropping the next week. You know, I either had to pull a little bit of weight off or I wasn't doing as many reps or whatever. So I definitely hit a wall pretty quick. Like I got a big strength boost for the first like 4 weeks. And then week 5 and 6, it kind of dropped down, and I'm like, okay, I got to take like a little bit of a mini deload, and then
what you're talking about is a huge. It's so common with Oxandrolone. We used to talk about this all the time. When people take Oxandrolone, you feel really good for a while, and sometimes the dose is just even 20 milligrams. Could be just to just put you over that androgen load edge, and then all of a sudden you hit this freaking wall, and you're just like, boom. Like, what the hell happened? You get this fatigue, you can't finish the volume in your workouts, and you're not sure what's going on. Maybe I should add more, but typically more isn't better, right?
Right.
So sometimes backing off the dose will actually reduce that fatigue and give you more of that strength back. But, you know, I'm not an expert by any means, but I do know from my own anecdotal experience and plenty of other people that I've talked to that have used Oxandrolone have complained about this wall that they hit after X amount of weeks.
Yep. And, you know, there's, like you said, what you said is the way to fix it. That's the way to fix it. Unless you're going to do, you know, the thing that I talk about, which is to, you know, restore your SHBG and sustain it. Like, it makes sense that, you know, on the way down, you know, you're getting a transient rise and increase in free androgen activity. But there are other processes that are required for androgen receptor sensitivity that need SHBG for. So like the androgen receptor itself, free androgens actually require SHBG to work. Most people don't realize it works like that. But you know, and it would make sense that it's kind of like on the 3-week, 4-week mark on the way up of having a restored SHBG, you kind of get your strength back again.
I'm definitely gonna do a little washout now. I'm just, you know, sticking to my test dose and the GH dose and kind of, you know, let everything kind of recover for probably the next 6 to 8 weeks before I add anything else back in. I mean, I did add some peptides in right after this blood work last week. I added some what do I got back in? SLU, MOTS-C, and some SS31.
Nice. Yeah, those are expensive ones, aren't they?
Then I get an okay deal, but yeah, they can be if you're buying them retail for sure.
So you're taking the SS31 and the MOTS-C at the same time, Dave?
Yeah, I am. I've done a similar protocol without the SS31, and I do 10 milligrams of methylene blue daily in the morning as well.
Yeah.
And I've been running that honestly pretty much nonstop. I haven't even really taken a break on that. And then I did a similar protocol last year from the end of June to till the Olympia, like mid-October, and I actually dropped like 30 pounds in that 3.5 months, and And the before and after was pretty drastic too. It was, I mean, even more than the ones we just looked at from this month. I mean, I sucked in a lot. I was holding a lot of weight in my back, and my V taper came in a lot more. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, it's a pretty potent combo, man, to run all those mitochondrial stacks with that SLU like that.
Yeah, I had really good results with MOTS-C and SLU on both my contest preps. And now I'm ready to kind of macro dose the SLU PP. I'm not going to run it up as high as Vigorous Steve did, 400 milligrams or something.
Right.
But you know, I have a bulk like 25 gram jar that I bought, and I'm going to start doing 100 and see how that works. But you know, the SS31, like the mechanism that the SS31 works on, and how it works on mitochondria is a lot different than MOTS-C. And for mitochondrial health overall, a lot of people say to run the SS31 in basically to repair the mitochondria, and then using the MOTS-C basically just it increases mitochondrial efficiency. So I think it's my understanding is that it's going to be redundant to run them both at the same time. So I didn't take MOTS-C while I was taking SS31 to restore my organ health after my last progress phase.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. I might just drop. I'm down the first 2 vials for this week. So, well, maybe I'll just reconstitute one more SS31 for this next week, and then go back to the MOTS-C next week or something.
Yeah, because like I said, those are expensive compounds, man. It's added up every month. You know, you get 10 days out of a bottle, and a bottle's, you know, even if you're getting a good deal.
Or I've been running 2 milligrams on the SS31, so I get 5 days out of that vial.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. You were saying that shit makes you feel like you got lightning shooting out of your fingers.
Oh, the MOTS-C, the methylene blue, and the SLU combo. I mean, it's crazy, man. That's what Steve even says. He's like, yeah, you'll have like lightning shooting out of your fingers. And I definitely agree, man. It's and it's weird because it's a non-stimulant kind of energy too. I don't know. It's weird. You don't feel jittery or jacked up like you just had a bunch of caffeine or amphetamines or something weird.
Yeah, I would love doing it and going and doing fasted cardio about, 20, 30 minutes later, and just it's weird because you can feel the thermogenic effects of it, and it's not like this weird clammy stickiness like you get from clenbuterol. It's like you can feel yourself sweating on it. It's intense.
Yeah, I titrated last year when I ran it. I titrated up the SLU. I just started at I had the 250 microgram capsules, so I started at 500 micrograms split twice daily, and then I kind of worked up from there, and then I went to like 750. I was taking it 3 times a day, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to work this up. I'll take it 4 times a day, and next thing you know, by the end of that 3.5 month period, I was taking 1 milligram 3 times a day. Basically, I was eating, and there were still the 250 microgram capsules because that's what I had back then, and so I was popping like 8 of those at a time. Taking a milligram and a half at a time. It was pretty crazy. So I got
started the 100 milligram dose though. This is kind of weird, and I haven't done any research yet to support this theory. This is just purely anecdotal, but I've seen improvements in my sleep taking the SLUPP in the morning. And ever since I started that, like I've been sleeping great and getting up more refreshed than I had been. So, instead of getting up twice a night to pee, I'm sometimes not getting up at all. And then when at 5 a.m. I'm like up and ready to rock and roll, which I haven't been since the progress phase. So like, I'll lay in bed and fall back asleep, and you feel groggy after you do that.
Interesting. I mentioned it to some people before that the first time when I went up to the 4 times daily, that 4th dose was like right before bed. I'm like, whatever, I'm going to pop one of these right as I'm going to bed, and maybe I'll burn some fat in my sleep kind of thing was my theory. And it was the weird thing. I ended up having a dream that night, and I hadn't dreamt a lot in a long time. And I had a dream that night that I was like, it was like when you're in 8th grade or like, middle school, and you're running the lines in the gym back and forth, and you run down to the other end of the basketball court, touch the line, run back. And I had a dream about that. And I'm like, this cannot be a coincidence that I took an exercise mimetic that's supposed to make your body feel like you just exercised, your mitochondria. I think you just exercised. And now I'm thinking about exercise when I took it right before bed. Yeah. I was like, what a weird coincidence that would be, man. But I don't know. It definitely happened. And it wasn't like I just dreamt that I was at the gym like I do the gym normally, that would have been more normal. It was like, this was like 7th, 8th grade me in the past. Middle school me, came
Yeah.
into my dream running lines in PE class. It was crazy, man.
I was
So-
going to ask though, you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
did you
Go ahead,
try
Austin.
NAD plus. Like, I felt like I got effects from it, but it kind of blends into the background after a bit. And I haven't tried the peptides you've mentioned.
I have not run NAD plus yet. It's
Okay.
definitely one I've been looking at though.
Neither have I. I feel like, a lot of it is just redundant to other things, right? Like glutathione, and I do injectable glutathione, which I think played a big role in my organ recovery.
I actually just started that this last week too, right after I finished that blood work. I wanted to get that blood work without that in there just to see, and then I just started doing 500 milligrams 3 times a week, so 1,500 milligrams total a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about what I'm doing too, and it works. It does work on lower doses, but on higher doses, it works, really well. And then, are you injecting it intramuscular?
It was recommended I go deep IM, so I'm using a 1 inch, and I'm actually going into my vastus lateralis. And the way I diluted it, it's a 1,500 milligram vial. So I did 9 mils of backwater in there. So I'm doing 3 mils, at a time to get my 500 milligrams. So I'm actually splitting it bilaterally. I'm doing 1.5 mils in each quad, basically, 3 times a week, which is not for the faint of heart. The vastus lateralis, the side of my quad, though, I'm not going in the top or any weird stuff. You see guys that are always like talking about bad quad injections, and then they show a picture of it, and I'm like, why are you injecting on like the top of your quad, man? That's
what I did. I injected probe. I got pissed off because I was bruising up real bad, and I was like, "That's it, boom, probe right in the quad, dude."
Oof,
I could barely walk for like a freaking week. I was like, "I'll never do another quad injection again."
I'm going right in the side while I'm seated.
Were you doing those deep quad injections? Were you getting PIP or no?
No, actually, I did pretty painless because, like I said, I diluted it down, pretty decent with the 9 mils of backwater, and then which is supposed to help, I guess. And then, like I said, I split it bilaterally, and I inject it real slow, so I'm not just like slamming it in there super fast or anything. So I've been really lucky.
Maybe it's dilute mine more. I don't do deep. I am 5/8 in my delts, but
is your glutathione causing PIP?
No, it's just soreness after, because you do it 3 times a week. So it's not like you would think of a standard PIP, but just like muscle tenderness.
It's from the buffered being wrong. It's probably overly acidic or basic. It could be both.
Because it's sulfur based, correct? The glutathione.
It is. I don't actually know how that affects like the pH of it, but I just know that people who make it, you have to buffer it.
I think it's acidic. From what I was researching, I think it was saying it's pretty acidic, and that's why what I was looking at was saying the more you dilute it down, the better it is with that post-injection soreness.
You could
but then the problem you have is getting a 500 milligram dose. Now it's a 3 mil injection at that point.
Did you ever find time having it reconstitute entirely into the I have found that there's still like white powder crystals on the bottom that it just takes like days sometimes for it to finally all dissolve.
It went pretty quick. It did take, a couple, I'd add a 3 mil syringe of backwater, swirl it around a bit and get as much to dissolve as I could. And then 3 more mils and then swirl it around more and turn the vial up and down, upside down, without shaking it too hard. And then the last 3, but I feel like, after doing that, patiently it dissolved.
It does take some patience though.
It took some work for sure. A little patience for sure.
Yeah, I love that shit.
The pH is wrong if it's not dissolving. That's probably why.
Oh, really? Wow.
Probably too acidic. That's what's going on there.
Wow. That was from Peptide Sciences. They closed down now, so I shouldn't have said that.
No refund. Can't get a refund now.
Did it come reconstituted, or did it come?
Oh, no. It comes in a powder.
Yeah, it comes lyophilized.
So, before we carry on to the Q&A that we're going to be starting up here shortly, guys. So if you have questions, you could drop those in the chat. We'll take those for you. I just wanted to talk to Dave about his future goals here for his bodybuilding, amateur bodybuilding first show that he's got coming up in July. So obviously you have a coach going right now. Would you like to talk a little bit about what your plans are, like what your prep cycle is going to be, and what are you expecting here at your first show? You got to be nervous. I mean, you've never done this before.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things, man. When you're 370 pounds, you don't ever expect to. You don't think you're ever going to be like a bodybuilder on stage, man. It's definitely kind of surreal. You know, I don't really expect much. I expect to go down to Houston, have a good time. You know, try something new. It was just kind of a new way. I've been dieting since August of 2024, losing weight. You know, and it was just like a new way to have a goal toward getting leaner still and losing some more fat, you know, and not just have it be an endless, you know, nothing at the end of the rainbow kind of goal, you know. So, you know, I've seen it popping up online and stuff. It's that summer shredding, you know, championship down there that was it Christian Guzman, I think it is, puts it on for Alpha Elite. And, you know, they have a transformation division for guys that have lost a bunch of weight. So, you know, I figured, you know, why not give it a shot and see how it pans out. Yeah.
So it's going to be other people there that have been going through a transformation like yours. So you're not going to be the only guy that's come this far.
Yeah, it's a full transformation. And then in the transformation division, they have like 4 different classes based on how much weight you've lost. They give you like, you know, 50 to 75 pounds, 75 to 150, 150 and up. And then you have a certain amount of time frame. It can be within 3 years, basically, for the first 2. And I think you get 4 years if it's over 150 pounds. So I'm going to be in the 75 to 150 category just because I was 340 within that 3-year period is basically going to be my starting weight for the show. Even
not
though
anymore.
Not anymore. Even though I was 370, you know, prior to that, I can't use that starting weight because it was too far back, and I would have been outside that time frame, I guess. So. But yeah, I mean, the goal
that's got to keep you motivated too, right? Because now you got an actual plan. You're like, I got a show I'm going to. I'm going to be getting on a diet. Yep. This just makes it that much more fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm paying for a coach now, so it's like, all right, man, I'm kind of going all in with it, and it, like I said, it was just a cool little extra motivation and new goal for this year for sure.
Cool, man.
What was the total loss you had again?
I was 370 at my heaviest, and I'm down to 249. The last couple of days, I've been kind of hovering on 249 and some change.
That's what? How
so
much?
It's 121 pounds, I think, is where I'm at right now.
I just wanted to show that picture again.
That's what I gained. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we're on opposite transformations.
Yeah, right.
How long was that?
So I was 340 in August of 2024, and so you know I'd gotten down to the 250 range. Probably by the end of last year sometime, you know, like October, I think was about in there. So a little over
a year and a couple months.
Year and a few months. Yeah, a little over a year. I went kind of slow and steady. I recomped a lot. I got a DEXA in November of 2024 when I was still 325 pounds because I wanted to kind of have that initial DEXA and see kind of what I got down to. So, I mean, I was over 40% body fat, 40-something% body fat at 325 pounds. And so,
great.
You know, I was even more at 340. And my most recent DEXA that I just did in February, I was down to 20% body fat. But you can see my lean tissue, my lean mass has gone up. I put on a bunch of lean tissue and lost a bunch of body fat. So I've definitely recomped along the way. So it's definitely been a slow, steady transformation. Versus somebody could definitely lose weight faster, but you're going to be losing some muscle along the way and not retaining it. And I was actually building it along the way, which was nice.
Well, and especially at the higher body fat percentages, you can get away with it more too when you're coming down. But like, how much was your rate of loss? I mean, I did the calculation. It was 6 pounds a month from the 370 to 250.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, if you start at the 340, so when I was 370, I actually lost like 100 pounds and was down to like 270. And then I actually, started eating like crap again and kind of fell off. That was during COVID. And then everything opened back up and I went back to my old ways and I actually got back up to 340. So I lost a bunch of weight and then gained a bunch of it back. And then now I'm doing it the right way. And it's definitely staying off this time. But, yeah, so I mean, you know, there was weeks where I was pretty plateaued or even because, you know, I think I was building tissue, you know, building muscle and stuff, you know, and losing fat at the same time. So the scale was kind of deceiving if you kind of just look at it, you know, by scale weight. There'd be weeks where I didn't lose anything, but my body looked better. There'd be weeks where I dropped, you know, 5 pounds or mean, there'd be a day where if, depending what I ate and glycogen and water and stuff, I could gain 5 pounds or lose 5 pounds in a day sometimes.
That is like expected even.
Yeah.
Like, so, the way, I don't know if you guys do it like that, but to track your weight, like if you do a daily weigh in at the same time every single day, you can get away with just a morning or just a night, but don't think about whether you've eaten or anything. Just weigh yourself like last thing before you go to bed, and you will have a weekly high and a weekly low. And it doesn't matter if they're 7 days apart. Just like pick this block, this block, this block, look for a weekly high and a weekly low. And you want that low. No, wait, actually, no, you want the high to be kind of the one that's dropping. Sometimes the low is deceiving because you don't always get as equally bottomed out in glycogen, basically. But the high signals how saturated you are in glycogen, actually.
Yeah, I definitely weigh myself every morning. I wake up, go to the bathroom, come back in the bedroom, weigh myself, and again, kind of like you said, just track a weekly average or whatever's going on there, and just kind of look at the swings. I like seeing the data. I'm really good at not letting it get to my head. I know for a lot of people, weighing yourself daily might not be the best thing for some people. It can be a little unsettling watching yourself swing or not watching the scale move what you feel like it should be moving based on how hard you were working in that week or how hard you were dieting. So it's definitely not for everybody, especially I think people starting out probably shouldn't be weighing themselves that often.
I say to that, like, if you have anxiety over stepping on a scale, it's because you don't understand how it works. You just think that number is an evaluation of your value as a person. But if you look at it, it's a tool for measurement. You will see that it trends differently every single day, and you'll see that trend, and it won't be as scary anymore. Exposure therapy, I think, is the way, not avoidance. Not that I want to tell anyone how to live, but it's, that's pretty known now, like that if you want to get more comfortable with something,
Now, do you have a weight cap, Dave?
No, there's no weight cap, nothing to worry about at all. So, I was at 20% in February on that DEXA. So, I mean, I'd like to see if I can get down to like 10%, which, if I maintain the muscle mass that DEXA says I had, that'd probably put me right in the 212, 215 range. And I'm, 6'2". So it'd be pretty,
you're a tall dude. And so
it'd be pretty lean. So we'll see, man. I'm starting to see, a lot of definition and different muscle stuff coming in, starting to show itself a lot more than I've ever seen my entire life. I've always been a big dude and I've always been carrying a lot of like water and fat, along the way. So it's definitely interesting to see.
Now, is this something that you see yourself continuing on through your 40s, even 50s and 60s, like Tom Townsend? I don't know about, I'm sure Mike knows who Thomas Townsend is. Guy's 64, 65 now. I think this year he's shooting for his pro card. The dude's actually freaking jacked. He looks awesome. He's actually scheduled to come on the show when he slows down. But so, Mike's bodybuilding, competing. He's been going for years now. He's 54 years old. You're only 41. I mean, what's the plans for the future?
Well, I mean, yeah, Mike's kind of had a similar journey. He's just ahead of me in time schedule here, man. Is once you pop, you can't stop, Mike. How's it go? Is it easy to quit when you get going? Once you get going in this lifestyle?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't foresee myself changing. I like this lifestyle, man. It's definitely better than the lifestyle I used to live. So I don't see why I would try to give it up. I want to be the Jack Grandpa someday. I always get those Jack Grandpa memes popping up on like Instagram and stuff, and send them to my wife, and we start laughing.
I feel like I'm gonna be like Ronnie Coleman. All right. So Dave, anything else you'd like to hit on, man? That was pretty awesome, bro.
No, I think that's all I got. Unless anybody's got questions,
Yeah, if you guys
pertaining
have
to
any
me
questions for
specifically,
Dave,
other than the other general questions,
exactly.
I'm sure are going to get a lot of.
I'll go.
We're talking on topic, baby. Any on topic questions, you can pop them in here, and if we don't get them right away, I will go ahead and flag those, and we'll get to them later. Of course, what's this here? It says, heard a vial of Tren. OHAD in tune in. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Anyways, Austin, I'd like to take this question that we have in advance. Let's see, Austin, I'm trying your protocol. Obviously, the SHBG one. This guy dropped in the chat much earlier. Can't get estradiol in the UK. I will source it eventually. That's good news. Is low D-ball good with DECA only or Primo only? Thanks.
If it's good is a separate question from if it's the SHBG protocol or not, which it isn't in this case. But
Right.
could it be good? It's super old school, so I'm sure it is in the way that it is, but it will probably crush your SHBG in the same way that a regular testosterone base would, and probably possibly more so because it's an oral. I've seen some empirical data that seems to show that D-ball does crush estradiol, but I haven't personally run it myself, so I don't want to say definitively either way.
Yeah, I tried adding some D-ball when I had my E2 crushed by Boldonone, and I don't really feel like it brought it up. But Paul had an experience where after taking some higher dose AIs at the end of contest prep, his E2 would not come back up. And the way he finally got it to break loose and get back was doing a little bit of D-ball. So there's definitely a lot of conflicting anecdotal evidence out there as far as how that affects E2 levels. But
yeah, I'd say, if you need it, go for the real thing. Like if you've got low test, you don't take a pro hormone. If you got low E2, I would say take the E2. But D-ball is tried and true for sure. But I guess estradiol is just not in our context. But
yeah, that was great. That was trending me before. I didn't even look at the name. I'm telling you, I'm gonna hit you up, man. If that's literally you, the real trend of me, because I would love to have you on the stage. You'd be a rock star, bro. It'd be fun. So be looking out for that. All right, we got another question here from a whole lot of PRs. A lot of these questions were from last week, and I also was able to grab a few that came in late, and we didn't want to. We just ran out of time. We didn't want to hit another 2.5-hour marathon. So this here from a whole lot of PRs, Austin just added DECA and EQ to replace my NPP and my test NPP cycle. When should I expect to feel them, knowing it takes a while to reach a steady state?
in terms of feel, like right away, probably in a couple days, I feel like. But it depends on what you're taking it with. Like you could notice some changes within a few days, but yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
well, there's two different things happening there. I mean, you're basically just switching nandrolone, right? MPP and DECA are both nandrolone. So you're going from a fast acting or a faster acting nandrolone to a slow acting nandrolone. And like theoretically, or at least the way I would approach it, I would probably have started the DECA about, I don't know, 3-4 days or maybe even a week before I started tapering down the NPP, just so I didn't have like this crazy nandrolone dip. But
Yeah.
Adding the Boldonone in as a replacement, I don't know if it's a replacement for testosterone or if he's replacing the NPP with both Boldonone and DECA in addition to testosterone. But the EQ is a pretty slow burn. I mean, it takes a while to reach peak blood saturation. It's got like a 14-day half-life. So you're going to be 6-8 weeks in before you really start seeing the effects of the full potential of the effects of EQ. So
I'm
it's
evaluating
two different
that
questions,
myself.
really.
That's a good point too, because that is like the perception is that Boldonone takes a long time. But did you notice it maybe didn't take so long for you to get like the negative side effects of E2, or did it? Did it take a while?
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while to completely crush my E2. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And I was taking some AIs before I started that cycle because I low dose like 0.5 milligram twice a week or something. And I initially stayed on that protocol until I was about 2 weeks in to the Boldonone cycle, and then I started tapering down.
The AI. So
Yeah.
when did you first see the low E2 sides appear?
Starting about 6 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah. achy, lethargic. I did have some labs done around that time too, and it was pretty low.
I'm trying
18, I think it was.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah. 18's like not terrible, but it is low, you know,
for it is low. Yeah.
In our situation.
And a couple weeks later, it was the rest that was gone. Like it was,
yeah.
I didn't have it tested, but it might as well have been 0 because the bone aches. I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah. And right now I'm actually on week 3 of EQ, or like 3.5 of using 200 and something I forget 200 something milligrams a week with 1.8 milligrams estradiol, which is too high for almost most people, but I don't have a good multiplier from any estradiol, like, so that'll get my E2 to like 30 something, 38 maybe. But I switched from being on a shorter acting testosterone, so I'm trying to see if like I'm gonna have a dip in my overall androgen levels, basically, because I'm replaced a short ester with a long ester, and didn't like stagger it. Normally I would front load the hell out of it, but I'm trying to evaluate that and see if like I notice like being deprived of it, basically.
Yeah.
So far,
all right.
On that question, I'd be curious to know if it's like a milligram per milligram swap he's doing there, or what his intention is between if he's taking testosterone out, and what his intention is as far as to replace the MPP with EQ, or is EQ just a third compound he's adding for its own effects outside of the NOR19s.
Yeah, indeed. One's a high estrogenic cycle, like, or without estrogen control, and the other one is like just because you add EQ and now you've got like a totally different factor to think about.
Yeah. When I theoretically, when I started my cycle, I was doing 400. I got up to 400 milligrams of MPP as well. I think I started at 200, but my idea was that the MPP would convert to more estradiol, and I could maybe get away with not completely crushing it with the EQ, but it definitely did not work that way for me.
Yeah, I've seen people on a gram or 1,050 milligrams a week of DECA, and usually their E2 is like 8 to like 12 on a sensitive assay, unless they're adding estradiol. But I've seen quite a few people now at this point because I've seen Tyan Clark's like talked about it before, and in the past I've just had clients who did nandrolone with no test base, and they're pretty low.
Really?
More plates, more dates too. More plates, more dates did it.
Derek?
He's got a video on it. Yeah.
All right, moving along here. We got another question here for you, Austin. Would you mind stating what your dosages were on the E2 Primo and Tren stack? So the stack used during the most noticeable leap in gains.
The most noticeable leap in gains would be 525 Tren and 560 DHB, actually, with 3.5 milligrams estradiol. But that is going to be almost everybody is going to be way too high on that. Like, I only get about 18 picograms per milliliter from 1 milligram of E2 a week. Most people get like 35 to 60. So I get a lot lower response. And yeah, that. And on the Tren Primo, on Primo and Tren, I was taking like 2,800 Primo and 760 Tren or something like that. A lot. So, but I actually thought that was crazy. Like 560 DHB and 500 Tren basically smoked multiple, like 4 grams plus, and I got just better results on the lower dose by far. But Tren and DHB are super potent though. So
Okay, moving along here. This next one here, Austin. These are all from advance from last week. Should I bump up my 4 IU HGH pharma a day to 8 IU HGH pharma? All before I go to bed, sleeping.
I'm curious, you guys all can chime in on this one too. I like to split my GH though, like 7 hours apart between dosing. Like that's just how I've done it. And one of those doses is before bed. So
Yeah, I'm going to start adding some morning doses now that I'm going into contest prep. Usually, off season or during this health phase, I do my bolus at night, a whole bolus at night before I go to bed. But I've never had. He says pharma grade, so I don't know. I've had different pharma grade in the past, but Serostim is what I think of these days when people say pharma grade. So if you've got Serostim, it's a whole different argument. But to answer the question, I would say, titrate up slowly, because if you just all of a sudden double the dose, you could have some serious side effects that are very uncomfortable, right? When you wake up in the middle of the night, you can't sleep because your hands are numb and tingling. You can't move your wrist. You feel like you've got carpal tunnel, and
swollen ankles.
The water retention can really become an issue. There's a lot of potential sides in just jumping your dose up. So what I generally try to do is, 1 or 2 milligrams a week to make sure it works, and then go up another 1 or 2 milligrams a week. Now, I say 1 or 2 because I probably do 2 now, because I know what my side effects are and how to manage them. Where if I didn't know any better, I would just go up 1 milligram 1 IU per week. Sorry,
I was gonna ask you if you meant milligrams or IUs, because 1 milligram is 3 IUs, right?
Sorry.
Right.
Mike's like, just jump 6 IUs at a time, you'll be fine.
What was I gonna say? Have you guys compared Serostim with anything else?
I've never had Serostim.
I haven't had Serostim, but I've never noticed a difference, honestly, in any of the GH that I've used, pharma or otherwise.
I've just got this Chinese generic, and that's my only experience so far. So unfortunately, I can't help with that one.
I can't notice a difference, but I'm happy for people who can.
I have had like Pfizer, Genotropin and stuff like that in the past. But never Serostim. So
right. Me too. Yeah, with the Geno too. I've used that. Never Serostim.
This is actually a Chinese knockoff Genotropin. It's just called Gentropin without the extra O. If you if you look at this box, it's funny.
Yeah. Well, and all of it gets faked a lot too. So just because you buy something that says Pfizer on it doesn't mean it's actual pharma GH, right? It could probably made in the same factory as everything else. But I do know that Serostim is made in a different factory in a different country. And guys who take really big doses of Serostim, some of these really big IFBB Pro, Olympian level bodybuilders, they swear by the stuff. So, and Phil Viz, I saw him the other day I think it was on Transparent, and he's just going off about how all of the Chinese stuff is fake. And it's really, he talked to some chemist who told him it was all like GHRP or something with 1 molecule added. So it tested as HGH if you sent it out for lab testing, but really it was not, and that there was no way possible that it could be. And I'm like, yeah, I think a serum test pretty much disproves that, right? And the old school way of testing whether or not you had good GH was that you do a shot 30 minutes later or 30 minutes before you do a blood draw. And then when you have that spike in serum right after the blood draw, you had good GH. So
I think Steve's talked about that kind of at home testing protocol on his channel before. Did he say like 10 IUs or something right before you go in? Something.
I don't know. I've never only ever done a couple IUs. Yeah.
But, if anybody's curious, I know Steve's talked about it on his channel. You can probably find that protocol if you want to try it.
You can take like a little bit and probably see some in your blood work too. But I would say, I don't know, I'm not a chemist, but I think like a GCMS or whatever methodology you want to use for analysis would probably be able to detect between GHRP and GH, you know?
Right. Even with the molecule difference, you would think it's a different molecular weight and everything's going to be different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is Phil Fizz, right? He's kind of a contrarian, you know.
It sounds good when you're trying to be, you know, different.
Yeah.
For the sake of it.
Yeah.
All right. So this next question, guys, is going to be the last one for the night, and we'll take our time with it, of course. But I'd like to ask everybody out there to please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please do, and share this content, as well as please just start dropping comments on the comment board. We're a very, very small channel. We're going to be here every Thursday doing these live streams, bringing this content for you. All we ask that you hit that like button and drop comments, help support the channel, help us grow past this 1,000 sub mark and get taken off here. This last question here is for Austin, and let's see who it's from. I want to see who it's from Scott. Okay, Scott. So what is the easiest and most effective way to test if the HGH you're buying from a guy is real and dosed properly or close enough?
We just almost
just
inadvertently talked about that. Yeah.
you pretty much covered that, all right?
You either send it off to get tested somewhere, or you go check out Steve's channel and find his at-home testing protocol, blood test.
Makes it easy.
Yeah.
You could take it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do it myself on Wednesday. So I'm just going to inject
Okay.
2 IU and go in, 30 minutes before, because I think it's the timing that's the more important part than the dose. I mean, you want to see a real, I mean, I guess,
I know on Steve's protocol, he had a specific dose, and I think it was because based on that dose, he would say it should come to somewhere in this range. Basically, he was giving a range, an outcome. So he was giving you a dose and an expected outcome. So I think that's kind of what he had a dose
right.
for.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think Steve's talked about people doing it IV like 5 minutes before.
I think he said or intramuscular too. He said you can do it IV, but I think his little protocol, I don't want to butcher it because, like I said, I don't recall exactly. Yeah. But I feel like it was like 10 to 12 IUs intramuscularly, like you said, like 30 to 45 minutes before your blood draw. And then he would say it should get you into this range somewhere on your blood serum test. But go fact check all of what I just said on Steve's channel, guys. I'm just regurgitating Steve's stuff. Yeah, I'm just regurgitating what I've heard Steve say on his channel a few times, and he might even have an actual video on it, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're testing peptides yet, but Kykeon Analytics, like I know will test androgens and a lot of other stuff too. So you could conceivably use their services. Shout out Kykeon.
Where are they based out of?
Spain.
Okay, I was wondering because I know Jano's in like the Czech Republic or something.
Yeah, they're in Spain. I think
there is I think they're in like New Hampshire or something. There is Chromate Labs in New Hampshire that test peptides, and they will test GH if you want to ship domestically. And it's not cheap though. It's like $400 and something bucks. Most of the places that test GH are $400 and something to test it. So
yeah,
doing your own at-home blood experiments probably a little bit less accurate. Yeah, less expensive, more affordable, but definitely probably not as accurate.
It's $33 if you use my link to Alta Labs.
Or you could, Mike's got a link to Ulta. I've got a link for private MD labs too in my link tree that Erick's there, and it's on my Instagram. So since we're talking about blood work, go use one of our codes somewhere and get get your blood work checked, guys.
Yeah, of course. Also, all the links will be updated by tomorrow morning. But anyhow, you can just take a look even at the last couple of streams. There's a whole bunch of links for blood works and all sorts of testing and the links that you guys are looking for. Actually, before we go, there was this one thing I kind of wanted to cover here from Jesse Hernandez that he was asking about. Now, we can't talk about sourcing or anything. Apparently he's looking for DHT cream, and I know a shitload of people are looking for DHT cream. He did say that he found an expensive 10% formulation, but he's wondering, where the heck can he get it? And what do you think, Austin? Should he reach out to you, or is it just something that can't be sourced at this time?
It's that it's that it can't be sourced, and if you do, it's expensive.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately.
So unfortunately, if he wants that 10% cream, he's just going to have to pay for it, and then he doesn't even know if what he's getting is real, right? That's the problem.
Again, you shout out to Vigorous Steve, but he's got one of the most comprehensive source lists, and he can get away with it because he's out of the country. And I know he has that on his source list.
Oh, he does.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of the vendors he works with, it's on there.
Yeah.
Well, then just go check out Vigorous Steve's site and take a look. There you go, Jesse Hernandez, if you're listening. And, maybe you'll see your question here in the timestamps that'll be here tomorrow. I want to say, Dave, thank you so much, man. I know that you had your haul ass from your job site to get here. We truly appreciate it. It was a good time. And you know what? Keep in touch because we always do. We talk anyways. We chat and text and whatnot. And Mike Horner, always a pleasure having you on, brother, from the Mike Horner Muscle Project. Guys, sub up. Check out his channel. He's always he gets around. He's on a lot of podcasts of late. And thank you for coming out, Mike. It's always fun. Austin, let you pass it off to you, man. I want to say goodbye. Oh, next week, I wanted to say we got Blunt Force Tanya coming on the show. Where is she? Right here. Boom. This is funny. She was I was eating mushrooms on Friday night, right? I'm all whacked out, and I'm checking out my Instagram, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this chick Tanya, and I'm like not knowing where this is coming from, and my phone was looking way different than it did the next day, and I'm like, I could pull this off, and I'm like, hi Tanya, nice to meet you. I'd like to get acquainted so we could have you on the show, and I'm like, oh, that went really well. And next message, I'm like, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you an email, and I totally forgot my email. I was like, oh, screw it. I'll tell you what, I ate mushrooms. I can't remember.
He's like the girl sitting home drinking wine, emailing her ex-girlfriend. I got like 30 messages from you that night, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's great. Tanya's got the Merrick. We got 3 different options, guys. The bottom line is check your blood work. It doesn't matter whose code you use. Go use one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Pick your favorite lab you want to use and go get it done.
They're not all equivalent. Some I like to build my own.
Yeah.
So anything that lets me do that, I'm all in favor.
Well, and one of the things, and just briefly on this subject, one of the things you have to look at is that not every DIY blood sampling vendor has the same list of available tests. Like you can go to discountlabs.com and they may not have, a specific test available, and then go to Ulta and they do. And the reason why I chose to partner with Ulta is because they have the most complete list of different tests. And I couldn't get, for example, the leak down test we were talking about earlier, 24-hour clearance test that we were talking about earlier. I wasn't able to order that through any of the people that I was working with at the time. And that's how I found Ulta Labs. So.
Yeah. I like, what are you going to do if you need to check a lab every 3 days to see how it changes? Like if you need to, look at this, like sometimes 2 or 3 times in a month, and you only want to check 1 or 2 things, because you don't want a $200 panel and doing that every other day or something.
Yeah, I think the 3 we mentioned all let you do like an a la carte thing for the most part. You can pick and choose what you want and build your own kind of thing. And I know Private MD Labs, when I signed up as an ambassador with them, told me that I could even have them build specific packages that, for me, to market toward my audience and do that as well. And if there's something I didn't see on their list, I could request it too. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you go to a local Quest or LabCorp to get.
Yeah, you get to choose it. Yeah. I was browsing on there, and it did look like Quest is generally a little bit cheaper, but I don't know what the selection difference is on the labs between Quest and them. It's just whatever negotiated rate, obviously, they have with that lab. So, but yeah, cool. You can use Quest or LabCorp with Private MD.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming out, guys. I appreciate both of you guys coming. Appreciate Eric, everyone. Thanks everyone in the audience too.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. I'm definitely open to coming and checking back in later in the prep too, see how things are going.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. We'll do that for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Thursday Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. You have a wonderful weekend, a great week coming up, and let's hope that this weather starts breaking, at least here up in the Northeast, because I am sick of winter. All right. Have a great week. Take care.